I was recently asked how I would set up amps for church where a silent stage was needed, and my answer was this: set the amps up in a separate room and run cables to the pedal board on stage. Sounds easy, but for this to work, the amps must be sufficiently far away from the stage, needing extra long cable lines. Instrument cables won't cut it, so you need to convert from instrument to balanced XLR lines to run to the amps, then reconvert from XLR to instrument cables for the amps. All that represents additional costs that may not be possible for small churches to incur. How can we simplify this setup, make it budget-friendly, but maintain some familiarity with tweaking a live amp and meeting the goal of a silent stage? I think this is where this tiny but mighty amp comes in, the Boss Katana Mini X. Disclaimers before we carry on. Firstly, this video isn't going to be a full technical rundown and demo of the amp, because many other videos exist for that purpose. Secondly, a big thank you to Swee Lee for sponsoring this video and loaning the Katana Mini X. I don't get to keep it, but I do get to have fun with it to the point where I'm confident of what this amp can and cannot do. The Katana Mini X's control panel is very simple to use and will be familiar for guitarists of all skill levels. Channel select switch between clean, crunch and high gain, input gain, master volume, 3-band EQ, 2 rotary dials for independent effects, and an 1/8-inch speaker emulator output for headphones or recording. Using this output turns the speaker off, turning it into a direct device. What my boomer head needed to get around was that there was no power cable attached to the amp. This amp has an internal battery that can be charged via USB-C, which makes this a wireless amp solution for truly portable jamming. While a charger is not included, the manual says most commercially available USB-C chargers will work. But do double check, as I learned that my iPad Pro charger doesn't work on the amp, while my travel adapter with a slightly higher current output does. Specifically, I wanted to use this amp as an affordable direct solution for guitarists who want to patch in their guitar and pedal board into the church sound system. At $229, you could buy 2 of these to go stereo, and it's still cheaper than a full-blown live amp rig. But the key metric above all else must be considered: does it sound good through a sound system? To simulate wiring this into a church sound system, I rigged the amp through my Helix via the send return jacks and had the audio coming through my monitor speakers. Not going to lie, it's a much more open sound with decent bass resonance. The tone is far more tweakable, being able to turn up the mids and treble. What you're about to hear was recorded purely through the Katana Mini X. Look out for the captions that come up during each part of the demo to see if it was the amp's effects or some effects from the Helix to simulate a pedal board feeding the input of the amp. One piece of gear that you need to make this work is you need to connect from this stereo out or an 1/8 inch out, convert it out to a 1/4 inch or XLR. To do that, you need this cable. This is a stereo 1/4 inch on one end, 1/8 inch on the other end. Take the amplifier, plug it to the recording out, and now you have stereo output from the recording out of this amplifier. And the reason why it's stereo is because some of these effects are wired in post after the amplifier section. So chorusing will sound nice and big and expensive because of the stereo spread. Finally, take any DI box you have and voila, this is your direct solution for the Boss Katana Mini X. Just for the sake of completion, I'm going to demo how this amp will look like and sound like using the speakers, which is a 5-inch speaker. It's a very small speaker and therefore it's got some tweaking philosophy that you have to get behind so that it sounds good. Otherwise it's going to sound very, very harsh. I'm using the Sir, which is a pretty bright guitar. Now you can, and this is on the alternate mode. If I were to go back to the normal version. That's the thing about small enclosures. There really is no resonance. There's no space for bass frequencies to resonate. So you are going to turn down the treble, turn the bass up. Now that's not very clean, is it? So let's turn the gain down. I gotta say though, for an amp that's supposed to be very, very small, it has quite a lot of compression in it. And then you can turn down the bass a little bit. Let's get some chorus going. So on the crunch mode, I can turn down the gain and becomes and turn down the guitar here as well, and becomes quite a nice clean. And then dig in for some crunch. And now brown sound all the way. Bring out the distortion pick for this one. actually really fun. So those are the live amp tips. Turn the treble down, turn the bass up so that the cabinet has a bit more space to resonate. I'm honestly shocked. I keep saying this for a lot of new gear that comes through here, but I wish this was around when I was starting out. Beginners have access to quality gear across the entirety of the budget spectrum. I hope I've shown you that this tiny amp can solve some stage problems for churches on a budget. Does this replace a pair of Tone X's or live amps? No, those are obviously in a separate class of gear, but I can confidently say that for $299, you're going to have a practice amp with a smorgasbord of effects which can scale with you to be used for recording and live amplification. If you found value in this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell icon to grow the channel, join the community, and get YouTube to send this out to more people. Thank you. And that's me. What about you? What would make you consider the Boss Katana Mini X a live amp over something like a multi-effects? Or is this too small and gimmicky for you? Let us know in the comment section below. Do check out my budget gear playlist after this, where I hope to exemplify the mantra, don't knock it until you've tried it. See you there.